Welcome back to CryptosRus. I'm George. We're all George. So today, let's talk about Bitcoin making moves, what its fair value should be, and also what Ripple is doing. XRP is also making moves, but unfortunately, SEC and Gary does not like it, and they're responding back. So let's talk about these things and more. Let's do this. Welcome, guys. Happy Saturday. As you can see, Bitcoin is still a tad below 26,000. Still going sideways overall. But let me present something to you guys that shows that this is an incredible value right now for Bitcoin. Why is that? Well, the fair value. The fair value, actually, according to this analyst, is $47,000 as of right now. This is not the future. Based on this metric, it should be at $47,000, which is Bitcoin's energy value. So one of the arguments against Bitcoin is that it's not backed by anything. But the thing is, most people that ask that do not realize that Bitcoin takes an enormous amount of energy and money to mine. So it is backed by something. It's backed by energy. Without energy, without power, you couldn't mine a Bitcoin. You can't just create it out of thin air. You need to spend that money. So there's a couple metrics that revolve around this. You have just the floor electrical cost, which is right around like $21,000, $22,000. Okay, so you have that, but then you also have a calculation, the energy value. Okay, which takes into more things into account, right? But if you look at it between the green and blue, you basically have like an upper range and lower range, right? And of course, there are many times during the parabolic runs where Bitcoin's price is actually above the energy value. Like back in 2021, you clearly see it broke above that green line. But right now, we're definitely below, and we're hovering right in between the electrical cost and the fair energy value cost, which is the fair value, right? So it's like somewhere in between. You almost look at like one of our indicators, one of our moving averages indicator where you have a top and bottom, it's kind of like that. But I think this is one measurement, one metric, I think when it comes to electricity or energy, okay, I don't think a lot of people pay attention to this, but the miners are paying enormous amounts of money, okay, at infrastructure, at personnel, at electricity to be able to generate these Bitcoins, okay, that they do. But the good news is the more miners, the more hash rate, the better it is for Bitcoin. The network is more secure and more unhackable and more decentralized. Okay, it's virtually impossible to hack Bitcoin's network at this point in time. You just couldn't do it. And look at this, the hash rate is at an all-time high, continues to go up and up and up because the miners, they know this is the time to be accumulating as much as possible. This is not time to be weak. This is not time to be afraid. This is time to be bold and brash and go all in. And that's what they're doing. That's why the hash rate keeps on going higher and higher. They keep adding more mining machines. They keep adding more infrastructure, and they keep mining away. And they are not going away at all, right? So, and also because of all the Bitcoin miners, you have a lot of states, specifically Texas leading the way, right? They are very pro Bitcoin mining because they know that all these miners that are using up all electricity in these grids, they're actually helping. They're helping those grids be upgraded and become more robust so that they can handle more in the future. So some of these states love it. And let's not forget the tax dollars too. And Ted Cruz is also saying that, hey, you could capture a lot of wasted flare gas also that could be used towards Bitcoin mining, again, to revitalize the local economy and make improvements upon the power grid, right? So it's all good. And I'm glad to see more and more states realizing this, right? And it's not just Texas. There's many others that have come out and said, hey, Bitcoin miners, come. We love to have you here. So this is fantastic all around. Fantastic. And I covered this story recently too about Riot. They just got paid not even to mine because there was like a heat wave, right? So Texas was afraid. They needed a little bit more energy. They paid them what? But guess what? What are they doing? With the extra money that they're making, they're beefing up their infrastructure. So next year, let's say, there's a heat wave again, they may not have to do this anymore because they keep on improving the grid with the income that they're making from the miners, right? So this is a clear example. But in the meantime, a lot of these mining companies could be getting a fat paycheck for not doing a whole lot. So that's also pretty good. Another pretty good reason. But outside of miners, outside of fair value, this is what it looks like right now in our current cycle. We're getting closer and closer and closer to the next halving event, right? And look at what happens after each and every halving event. Very, very shortly afterwards, you go on a parabolic run. That's exactly what happens every single time. Here is all the halving cycles got laid on top of each other, and you can see where we are right now. So if you showed this to someone, okay, I know most of you guys already know this and you believe in this, but let's say you showed this to someone that has no clue about Bitcoin, and you're like, this is where we are, okay? And look at all the previous times in a 4-year cycle. If you were to invest, would this be a good point to invest? I would bet 100% of them would say, yeah, this is the point to be investing because basically this is right at the point that Bitcoin goes upwards. 539x, 112x, 21x. This is exactly the point you want, right? It couldn't be better. Maybe like a month ahead or 2 months ahead. But if you were to show anyone this, I think they would say, yeah, this is a pretty good time to be investing, right? I mean, that's exactly where we are. We're right before the halving event, and we know that there's a lot of catalysts leading up to it too. I've been mentioning a lot of them, right? But like if you're looking at this, why would you not want to be holding, accumulating at this stage, right? It just makes no sense if you do not. So just want to show you guys that. And of course, the fundamentals keeps on going up. For example, number of addresses, not holding 1 Bitcoin, 0.1 Bitcoin, all-time high. 1 Bitcoin, all-time high. 10, all-time high. I mean, it doesn't matter. If you go down to 0.01, all-time high. People keep loading up and stocking up. They know. They know this is a time, right? Supply last active 3+ year, all-time high. People that's been holding for 3 years, all-time high. If you go down to 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 7 year, all-time high. These retail investors are not that stupid. Not like, BlackRock and these guys, they think retail is all dummies, right? But Bitcoin is the one industry, the one investment where the retail investors led the way. They're coming in. They're trying to play catch up. I mean, the institutions, right? We led the way. We were in here before they. But the unfortunate thing is they have all the big money that's waiting to come in, and they may be playing some games right now, right, to try to scare retail investors away. And this is definitely not the time to be scared away. This is the time to be more aggressive, more bullish, because things are about to go down in a big way in the near future, right? All right, so that's Bitcoin. But what about Ripple and XRP? Well, they're making moves too. So Ripple buys another company. They bought a custodian service earlier this year in May, Medico, for $250 million. That's a lot. But they just purchased another one, a controversial one, Fortress Trust. And when I first read this, I'm like, why does that sound so familiar, Fortress Trust? Now, this acquisition, they didn't release the sum. I'm guessing it's very small. And why does this sound so familiar? Well, because Prime Trust is also custodian. They're also a fiat on-ramp, off-ramp, really for institutions. They're almost like a small version of DCG, okay? Now, BitGo tried to buy them earlier this year. They pulled out, and then Prime Trust basically shut down. They halted their withdrawals and deposits, and a lot of companies that were using Prime Trust went belly up, right? So I thought this company already went bankrupt, but I guess they're still trying to sell, and Ripple decided to buy them for their infrastructure, right? So I'm guessing they bought them for pennies on the dollar at this point, right? But it does show that Ripple is serious about expanding, right? After this lawsuit, I mean, they still have a lawsuit with the SEC, and I'll get to that a little bit, but after XRP was deemed a non-security, now they have all the confidence in the world, right? Not only for themselves, but everyone else that's been telling Ripple, I don't know if I could get involved with XRP. Now they're willing to, because it's a non-security, right? So it does seem like Ripple's making a lot of moves for XRP, besides trying to use it as a bridge currency. But they're trying to add in custodian services, wallet services, DeFi, metaverses. I mean, they're trying to make a full-fledged L1, basically. So overall, that's pretty good. But going back to that lawsuit, well, we know that SEC has not dropped their lawsuit against Ripple itself. They're trying to appeal the decision that the Judge Torres made in terms of their program sales. Like somehow that was illegal. It's illegal token sales, and the judge said no, it's not, right? But the SEC is trying to appeal that decision, and the SEC is countering. But here's the thing: SEC also just accused Ripple of slowing down the lawsuit so they could sell more XRP, which is really funny because we know SEC moves like a snail. They purposely do this on purpose to basically slowly bleed out the companies that they sue. This is their playbook. This is their tactic. That's why a lot of these lawsuits take years, and then by then, like for example in the case of Library, they just said, okay, even though we won, we really lost because we're bankrupt. I mean, so this is funny that SEC is now trying to use this against Ripple, saying Ripple slowed things down on purpose. Ripple's been the one that's been trying. Ripple, first of all, never wanted to be sued. And second of all, they're the ones that kept asking for the Hinman docs to be released, which the SEC fought tooth and nail and appealed, right? And there's so many other parts to this. So it's funny that the SEC now and Gary Gensler, they're so desperate to come up with excuses to appeal and to try to win. Now they're using their own playbook as a defense, which makes no sense at all. And again, you could argue that they're just doing this again to drag it out, thinking that they could bleed Ripple dry, but Ripple has enormous war chest. I don't think they're going to bleed out. They're going to be just fine. They will fight this till the end of the earth. But I just think that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous argument. But anyways, that just shows how desperate Gary Gensler is right now. And that's why you have Congress people like Tom Emmer that is really trying to fire him and limit his power, right? I think a lot of Congress people know that Gary has abused his authority, abused the office of the SEC, thinking that he can just make up rules and no one will fight him. No one will question him, right? So a lot of people are paying attention to Gary Gensler. He has a lot of heat on his back right now. Okay, so that also makes me think that we will get some Bitcoin spot ETFs in the near future. Okay, maybe Grayscale, maybe they get the first go, they get permission to convert. But BlackRock, I don't think they're going to be denied. We might get delays, but there's just too much heat on Gary, and he doesn't have any ammunition to deny them. So we will get Bitcoin spot ETFs. Maybe sooner than later. Maybe we could get one or a few before the end of the year. That would be outstanding. All right. That is pretty much it on this Saturday. Overall today, a little green, which is good. We got a little green. Yesterday I did an interview with Grady, and on his channel, we talked to the DeFi Kingdoms people, and talked about the next crypto gem. That was pretty fun. If you guys didn't watch that, I suggest you do so. All right, let's do some Q&A. All right. Let's see here. Crypto Jet. Happy to catch you live. I'm happy you're able to. Kyle Davis. Near or Solana for the next bull run? Near is like a mini Solana, but I think they will both do well. But I definitely hear a lot more stuff going on Solana than Near right now. Patrick, member for 2 months. Appreciate that. Bronco, Jeep, or 4Runner. Oof. I really like the Bronco. I just don't know how reliable they are. And I hate the fact Ford dealerships are marking up like crazy. So no one should pay above MSRP, right? Like, I truly believe that. But man, Ford dealerships, they're like among the worst of any car dealerships. They charge up Broncos like crazy. Jeeps, not a big fan of, but they've been around for so long. Of course, a lifted Jeep running on 35s to 37s look amazing, but they don't drive that amazing. 4Runners are reliable as heck, right? But they all look the same. There's no changes until a new one comes out. But you can never go wrong with 4Runner. They will last forever, and they will hold a resale value forever too. Ricky, you can watch the next crypto gem. It's in my URL on distro.tv. Distro.tv. It's distributed worldwide. There will be more distribution, but it's easier to do it on the app first. Later on, it'll be distributed everywhere else. Get a Gladiator. I would say Gladiators look ugly as F unless they're riding on like 37-inch tires. They look so weird from the back and from the side. But if they're lifted, it kind of takes away from it, right? But man, otherwise Gladiators look ugly as hell, and they are extremely overpriced. Jeep puts a Jeep tax, basically, right? Gladiators cost as much as full-size trucks, although it's not a full-size truck, and they look ugly. But if you got 37s like Slick, they look amazing. Like Jeeps, they just need to be lifted, and you got to have big tires. If you're using the stock 32s or 33s, and they're not bulging out of the fenders, they don't look good. What do you think about new Integra? It's not the same as before, So I don't know. I don't see anyone getting excited about Acura, honestly. Acura as a brand, I think they're dying hard. Integra Type S, which is like the accurate version of the Civic Type R. That one, you know, if you wanted a fun 6-speed car with a little bit more luxury, I think that's the way to go, but it's not cheap. It's like 50-something thousand. And you can still find them at MSRP, unlike Honda dealerships marking up their Type Rs by 10 or 15K, right? So that's the funny thing. People don't realize you can basically get the same car with the Type S, but people want that Honda look, I guess. Josh did it right. His GX went up from 10K to 16K. Nice. Not much luxury difference between a Honda and Acura, unlike Toyota and Lexus. It's true, but Civic Type R, you know, it's all cloth inside. The Acura Type S, Integra Type S is leather. But yeah, I mean, more or less is the same. The digital screen, the digital gauge cluster, the digital screen, all the knobs and buttons and everything else inside are exactly the same. But I will say this, I think the Integra Type S does look better. I like the new rear end. I think that looks amazing. I wouldn't mind getting that just as like a daily, you know, fun car. Because I love 6 speeds and you don't see many of them anymore. Like, to just get that as a, you know, not to say a beater car, but like just like a fun daily car, or a fun weekend car, I guess, you know, wouldn't be a bad thing. If you could have any iconic car from the movies, what would you have? The A-Team van, the DeLorean, Kit, Shelby 500. Of course, the Shelby 500. I mean, okay. First of all, I was a little bit too young for the A-Team, so I have no. I know what you're talking about, but I do not want that van. DeLorean, I still would want. Okay, I've been eyeing DeLoreans. I still think they're awesome. Kit, no. Shelby 500, yes. I would love to get an old muscle car, 68, 69 Shelby or Camaro. I think they look awesome. They don't make cars like that anymore. Brent, then the new NSX it's already disabled. I mean, discontinued, not disabled. So you could get like a 2017 one for pretty cheap, under 6 figures now. No, it's right around there. It's like 105, 110. So if you're looking for, I guess, a modern supercar, sort of, it's close to 600 horsepower. That's pretty good value, I would say. It is a Honda, so I mean, or Acura, so it's gonna be somewhat reliable. I hear it's very comfortable. Yeah, so it might be a good alternative. But you know, then again, you get a new Stingray, you got a C8 Stingray now for like 80 or 90,000 and have just as much fun. And I argue they look better than NSX. I mean, NSX still looks good, but the new Stingrays, even a normal one, not even a Z06, when they drive down the street, I'm like, damn, that looks good. They look good. I mean, it's almost too good looking. The rear end kind of sucks, but the side profile and the front profile looks amazing. It looks so good, in fact, that I think it's almost pointless to buy the Z06 because 99.9% of people will not be able to differentiate between a Z06 and a normal C8 Stingray. So, I mean, yeah. Is your cost average for BTC about $13? No, not that low. I started accumulating around 1,000. I had a lot before that was in the hundreds, but I sold those off. But I don't know what my cost average is. I've been buying on and off for so many years. I have no idea where it's at. Any plans on airing the next Crypto Gem on YouTube after episode premieres for more exposure? I don't know if I could just do a whole episode. I mean, I hear that the app is exploding. They have never seen that much volume, right? I technically can play the full episodes. I got episode 1. I could play on my channel. I actually never thought about that, just playing the whole episode. I mean, I guess I could. I guess I have to ask if I have the rights to do that. But yeah, why not? As long as I have all the episodes. I do want to do recap shows. So starting next week, after the 4th team is announced, I'll start doing recap shows with the contestants. When you decide to cash out, how do you know how much to claim if you don't know how much you've bought over the years? I only cash out when I need to, like if I need to use it for something. Otherwise, I don't. I keep like 99.9% in crypto. Like, that's no joke. I keep almost everything in crypto. I only ever cash out if I need to pay something in cash. So that's how I decide. It doesn't matter. I know the overall number. And it's plenty, so that's how I decide. You know, I don't know if you're asking for yourself, but, you know, that's really it. Ozzy, welcome. Welcome. We're talking about the show, talking about cars. My dad has a 67 Camaro RS, all black, great condition. I don't know if I'm ready to buy a new car right now. I think my next car, I mean, I hate depreciation. And my Model X has depreciated so much, I don't know if I can even get rid of it. I don't know. It's nice to have a lot of supercars, but with kids, just impractical. You can't ever go anywhere with them. So I don't know. I think my next car is probably going to be the G-Wagon, the G63. All right. I guess let's conclude. Thanks for the thought, though, about just putting the show up every week. I might be able to do that, actually. And we'll see if I can. But hopefully you guys watch episode 1. If you didn't, go check it out. But I may be able to just put it up, too. Okay. So to conclude, you know, this is kind of ridiculous. Bitcoin is still doing well and making moves. And the fair value is much higher. So this is definitely not the time to be out and fearful. This is the time to be aggressive and greedy. So I'll see you guys later. Monday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow. I'll have a recap show. And I'm going to ask about if I could put the episodes directly on YouTube. If I can, then I'll put it for either tonight or tomorrow. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.